Welcome.
Thank you, Ann, once again, to be here. It's great to be here with you again.
Tim Toomey is running for
City Council.
Cambridge City Council.
Right.
And you're also a
State Representative.
state representative.
We have an election every single year. One or the
That'll
other.
keep you busy.
Certainly does, but I enjoy it. I really
The
love
issues-
doing both jobs.
Great. Are the issues the same for the two jobs?
A little bit different, but, what happens on the local level, impacts on the state and vice versa. So it's good to bring that perspective of what's happening in the local community to the State House too. So, being here in the city, knowing firsthand what the problems that the local communities and towns are facing and bringing that reasoned voice to the State House, I think is helpful
Is there any
too.
particular issue that the state is working on that is affecting Cambridge right now?
Well, I think the big thing we did a couple of years ago was the a bill for life sciences to help fund startup companies. And we can see what's happening in Kendall and Central Square, the benefits of those companies.
That's
Definitely
state
job
state
creation.
action.
Yeah, that, part of the job
Uh-huh.
creation. I think what's happening with the transportation is paramount for the local communities to be economically viable. We have to have a proper transportation system. So we have increased the amount of money for other transportation, to provide. The governor came out yesterday for new upgrade the Red Line and Orange Line trains that have been in operation since the late 80s, so to have more efficient trains.
And the
So-
escalators are going to work all the time? instead
Well,
of
we
only
hope.
once in a
I mean,
while?
that's always an ongoing maintenance problem, and that's the key, making sure that. But I mean, transportation is key to the economic vitality of the communities. Getting people back and forth to either jobs, to school, keeping cars off the street. So, transportation is key.
Does it mean more trains?
We're hoping that there'll be more trains. We're having the Green Line extension, so we're going to have more trains going from the Green Line extensions going from Leechmere up to Somerville, up to Tufts University, and that's been a long time coming. So that's proceeding as we speak, and so that'll be more trains coming. So
More trains on a different line, but not more.
different line, right?
Yeah. Okay. Is it going to increase our prices again?
We hope not. No, we hope with what we just did with the raise in the revenue will prevent any further increases right now.
That'll help.
We certainly hope so. Yeah.
So what's the highest priority for the upcoming city council?
I think in the terms of working with a new city manager who was just sworn in on July 1st and his new administration, and maintaining the fiscal stability of the city to be able to make sure we maintain our AAA bond rating, and that we're able to continue to provide the level of services that we do to all the residents of the city of Cambridge. As I said, I'm a state representative, and Cambridge is really the envy of the communities around the Commonwealth in terms of the amount of services that we provide and very reasonable tax rate. Our tax rate is funded about 68% by the commercial properties and only the 30-odd by the residential. Most of the communities is the reverse, that the residents are paying 70% of the tax and the commercial is paying only 30%. So, maintaining that fiscal stability is very important. Housing, again, more and more we're seeing Cambridge becoming the city of the haves and have-nots. We're not doing enough in terms of housing our middle-class families for them to be able to stay in the city of Cambridge. And so that's going to be a challenge for the next city council. We have inclusionary zoning. When new housing units go up, that 15 to 20% have to be affordable. Well, most of those.
What's the actual percentage in force now?
The minimum is 15%. You can petition to up to 20% if you get more density of that building. But minimum of 15%, if there's 10 units or more being built, 15% of that has to be affordable. What is happening though is those units are either a studio or a one-bedroom. Well, if you have a family of 4 or 5 kids, you can't.
That's a
So
little
we
tight.
need to increase the amount of bedrooms so families can be able to stay in the city also.
Right. And how would you do that?
But requiring the developers to do that, rewriting the ordinance to say that certain percentage has to be 3 or 4 bedroom units.
Wow.
It can be done.
It can be
I
done?
think
Good.
I think we have to do it, so.
Okay. So, you know, what else? What are the other issues you think are most important?
Again, we had talked about transportation. I think the open space issue, maintaining and trying to increase the open space in all parts
Where are
of
we
the
gonna get a
city.
park in Central Square?
Well, yeah, that's, you know, we mentioned the site across from, behind the Lafayette Square Fire Station just doesn't seem to be utilized in a very productive manner, and I'm not sure what it would take to have a design team to come in to look at that. Central Square basically is landlocked, so, you know, we'd have to take down buildings to provide that. And, you know, is
Well,
that
there are a few
something we could look
parking
at?
lots, right?
Our empty parking lots, you know,
Put the parking underground, maybe.
it's a possibility.
Is that a possibility?
But it's a challenge. I mean, as you said, we're not, you know, building any new land, so how do we do that? And then in my neighborhood down East Campus, Kendall Square, the neighbors worked with the developer, and they actually did tear down a couple of buildings and building a 2.4 acre park on Third Street between Second and near Benny. And so that was working with the neighbors in the city to do that. There's a design committee that's just been formed to see what type of uses will be in that park. So there are different ways of approaching it, you know, and so, I mean, there's possibility of something looking like that happening in Central Square and other parts of the city would be great.
What are your thoughts about the surveillance cameras? Are you gonna?
Mixed feelings, to be honest with you. I strong support of the red light cameras, which would take photos of the if a person of a car that goes through a red light, which capture that photo. I constantly from people in the crosswalk when a car comes flying around and doesn't stop. This would be a mechanism, you know, it would be a photo taken only of the license plate, not the driver or anything else, but the license plate. It would be given to the police department, and they would issue a citation and a fine to the owner of that vehicle. But, you know, with that challenge we're always hearing about, you know, pedestrians in the you know, trying to safely cross. And so I do support that. So surveillance cameras.
But the camera can catch more than just the.
No, it would just catch the license plate. You know,
Well, potentially.
it would only come on, it would only be triggered when the car went through the red light.
Ah,
The camera wouldn't be on all the time on a thing. But the surveillance camera, you know, it's the same, you know, CCTV, you know, has a camera that people walking by all the time,
Right.
captures them all the time,
That's
then they
true.
don't know they're being on film. But is it something that we could look at in certain areas of the city? You know, but it would be something I would not want to share with other agencies. But so I'm still looking at that issue, quite honestly.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It is. I mean, you know, we
Cameras
want
are
to
there,
respect
it's kind of hard to not use them, right?
You know, the federal government did give us money. We put them up, but they're not being used. So I'm waiting for the government to come back and say, well, give us the cameras or give us the money back. But, and that's the decision the council, you know, will be making soon. There's been several hearings on that issue. The majority of the opinion certainly has been against using the surveillance cameras.
Right.
But, you know, you go into any bank, you go into any gas station, you go into any store, like I said, already, I mean, we're on camera 24/7, it seems, so, and so,
It's hard to avoid, but
right.
you can do what you can. I
Yeah.
guess. And you have one second comment on net zero and your feelings about
Net zero, I think everybody is in agreement that it's something that the city should be doing. We just voted last night to create a commission to look at that over the next year. The report will be back in December of 2014. It'll be made up of residents, some experts in their field, to look at, you know, how we can implement that. But I think everyone's in agreement that we're hoping to be able to do that
Right.
in the coming terms. But the city over the years has used the highest energy efficient standards in all our new buildings. The new King School on Putnam Avenue is being built almost to net zero, and that, by the way, that school is being built with city money, no state building assistance at all on that. That's strictly the city money. That's
Where is that exactly?
the Putnam School on Putnam Avenue.
Mhm.
Was been torn down, and we're building a brand-new school there. It's
Oh.
an elementary school.
Oh, I knew that this, I knew the pathway to the river was being cut off for a while, but I didn't know they were tearing the building.
I believe it's probably torn down by now. I haven't
Huh.
been by in a couple of weeks, but they were in the process of tearing that down,
Oh,
so.
wow.
So, and like I said, then, we're doing that with city money, just shows the fiscal strength of the city. No other community can build on their own, they need state assistance, so. But that school has been outdated for a long period of time, and it needed work, and we are committed to doing it, and we have a series of schools. I think 2016 will be the Old Harrington, King Open on Cambridge Street, will be torn down and rebuilt. So we have a series of, over the next several years of building new schools. So
That's a big project.
it certainly is, but the kids are worth it.
Maybe you can fix the sidewalk too and
And
side.
Central Square, yes, we have that discussion. We'll look into how, some of these
Okay.
bricks, the problems.
Okay, great.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Great
very
to see
much.
you.
Good to see you again.
Good luck on your next project, next
Next
appointment.
campaign, yeah.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
See,
Great.
welcome,
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
James Lee.
It's a pleasure. It's a
You're running
pleasure.
for the
Thank-
city council?
Yes, I
For your
am.
first time?
My first time. My first time ever. And having I am having so much fun just meeting so many wonderful people all around the city.
Uh-huh,
It's been a pleasure, really. Thank you.
great,
Yeah.
yeah. And I read in your bio that you
Yeah.
became a citizen 2 years ago?
That's right. I've been
And you voted only once?
Yeah, I voted only once, so
Wow.
I still cannot believe that I'm actually still sitting here because
Uh-huh.
the whole thing just feels a little bit unreal. But I've been in this country in the U.S. since 1984, and I've been living in Cambridge for most of the time since 1995. But it just took me a long time to become a citizen.
Uh-huh.
But I finally became a citizen, and I'm running because I want to give back to this community and to the country. I feel that until now I could not serve in government, but now that I am actually able to do it, I am doing my best.
And what are you going to give the city?
Yeah, I feel that I bring something to the city council and to the city because, as you know, Cambridge is a city that has people from all over the world. There are many people who live in Cambridge that are not citizens, and I feel that I can speak for them because I went through the process of actually getting the green card and then waiting for 5 years and then getting the citizenship. I understand the struggles of the immigrant experience, and I think that's a perspective that the other members of the city council, at least as far as I know, all the members of the city council, they did not have to go through the process of actually becoming citizens.
What's the percentage of non-citizens in Cambridge?
I have no idea, but I would say I don't know. It could be anywhere from 30% to more than 30% or even half. I mean, I've been meeting so many people all over the city who have told me things like I work at a school here, and more than half the parents at my school they are not citizens. They don't, and for them English is not their first language. So so that has a huge impact on their kids' education. And I actually learned English as a foreign language. I went through the process of actually acquiring English as a second language. So I definitely understand the cultural mindset of the parents, and I think that one way that our school system can definitely improve is that we need to do a better job to narrow the achievement gap between the races, but also between students for whom English is a first language, and for those students for whom English is not their first language.
How would you do that?
Well, I mean, I'm not on the school committee, but I used to teach at the college level. I was teaching history, so I definitely understand the struggles of the foreign students for whom writing in English is a struggle. And I can definitely I feel that I understand the process by which all these foreign students, I mean, or at least the students who live in homes where English is not spoken as first language, what can be done to help them to do better in the school system.
So what would you hope that the council can do in the next 2 years?
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
Most
and
important thing.
I think there are a lot of issues that I want to solve. I mean, I have been a volunteer at some of the homeless shelters in Cambridge for years, and I really have a heart for the homeless. And I feel
Who
that.
supports the homeless shelters? How do they exist?
Well, I mean, I volunteer at the Harvard Square in homeless shelter, which is actually the only homeless shelter in the entire country, which is entirely run by students from Harvard, actually. So Harvard.
Does Harvard fund it?
Harvard, the homeless shelter gets some money from the Harvard student. There is this big organization at Harvard called the Phillips Brooks House Association. So they get some of the funding from that, but I think they also raise some money, on their own, actually. I volunteered. I've volunteered there since the 90s. Actually, I also volunteered at the St. James, the summer homeless shelter that used to be located at a church in Porter Square, but they actually just moved to Harvard Square.
But the city council doesn't really run this at all, right?
The city council
Say
does not.
Harvard and its students are running it.
Not those two particular homeless shelters. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying that one of my top priorities will definitely be what we call affordable housing. I think it's not just affordable housing for the low income, but also affordable housing for the middle class working families. And I believe that we can use measures such as, for example, inclusionary zoning to require more housing for the middle class, as not just one bedroom and the studios, but also 3-bedroom and more bedrooms for the families. Because I mean,
How
Cambridge
many buildings do you think we need?
That's a good question, and I think that's a question that must be addressed as part of a comprehensive master plan for the city. I think that's something that's lacking, and I think some candidates are definitely against that. But I think we do need some kind
Against a master plan?
Yeah, some people they are actually they oppose that, but I think we do need some kind of a master plan. Even if we do not stick to it, we need at least some kind of roadmap for the future. Otherwise, all the powerful special interests, I will not mention who, but they definitely have a vision for how they want to shape the city. So
How long
unless,
do you think it would take to actually write
yeah,
a master plan?
That's a good question. It will have to master plan that looks not just the issue of housing, but also the impact of the citywide development on the traffic and the environment and all other factors. So you're right. I mean, such a master plan is not a joke, but I think we are capable of doing that. I mean, just look at Cambridge. We have Harvard, MIT. We have all the brain power in the world. I mean, we don't like people who have the brain power to come up with a study like that. And we definitely should involve all the stakeholders, the citizens, and the neighborhood groups and so forth in this process, so that all the stakeholders who live in Cambridge, they will have a voice in the process, and not just a powerful special interests, not just the powerful special interest groups, because unless we have such a master plan, we as a city will be at the mercy of the powerful special interest groups. Yeah.
Well, those interest groups might have an effect on the planning itself, right?
Right. Yeah.
They will talk to the planners in the process of writing the plan.
Right.
I would guess.
Yeah. I mean,
And then they'll destroy the plan once it gets published.
Right. I mean, one thing that I definitely want to do is, if I'm on the city council, I plan to be acting as the eyes and ears of the people, so that the city council will be working for transparency in in all that we do. That that people will not be wondering. So how did that deal get done, and why did that particular project get funded, and why not some others? I mean, this whole thing should not be a mystery to the average people, right?
Have you run for public office before?
No, this is my first
Anywhere?
time. Like I said, no, I did not run anywhere, and I mean, the
Not
only
for
thing.
student council?
Well, actually, when I was at Harvard, I served as the president of the graduate dormitory council, which is a self-governing association of all the Harvard students who live in the graduate dorms. So I was president of that, but that's not the same thing as running for actual public office. So
You worked on some, with some particular agency in the last 10 years? What was that?
I worked with an agency.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Russian and Asian studies or something like that?
Yeah. I got my PhD from Harvard, and I have been a fellow at the Davis Center for Russian and Russian Studies at Harvard. So
Uh-huh.
I've been a fellow at that center for many years.
So what have you been doing with them?
I've been doing some research. I've been there at some of the seminars. I give a talk, occasionally. So I'm trained to be an expert on Russia and Eastern Europe and so forth. So actually, I know something about Central Asia. Actually, the region of the former Soviet Union where those two brothers, who bombed the Boston Marathon, where they came from. I've actually been there like a few times, and I speak Russian and so forth. So, I mean, it is really a tragedy what happened, with them. They became citizens and they felt somehow unhappy and they felt alienated, from the community. And that's one thing that I feel passionate about. I mean, I want to really speak for all the non-citizens and so forth, so that they will feel like they are part of the community. And I think we as a community should do everything we can to make Cambridge more about, to make Cambridge feel like home for all these people from all over the world, who are here.
Yeah, I understand, what's his name? Can't remember the name. The youngest guy
Tsunaya
was
brothers.
pretty
yeah,
well
yeah.
integrated in the high
Well,
school
yeah,
and his friends.
I was shocked, I mean, what
Yeah.
really goes on in the minds of these people. You never know, who you're living right next to, right? And what's going on in their life. I mean, I think that at a minimum, everyone in Cambridge, they should make an effort to say hello to people who live near there. I mean, so that so that people feel like if I have a problem, I can turn to my neighbor.
Do you think there's a shortage of English learning classes or things of that kind?
I mean, I'm not sure about that.
English
but
is a second language.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think what we definitely need more of in the city is more of the city services to help the non-citizens to become citizens. Like I'm talking about agencies that give information and also counseling to help the non-citizens to become citizens. And also we need to have more information about the city programs and so forth available in more different languages, right? So that people who are say from Brazil, they'll be able to they'll be able to read about what's available for them from the city in Portuguese and so forth.
Right.
Right.
Well, I guess we